In Oracle, a cursor is a temporary work area created in memory that holds the result set of a SQL statement. Cursors are commonly used to fetch and manipulate data row by row instead of retrieving the entire result set at once. There are two types of cursors in Oracle: implicit cursors. These cursors are automatically created by Oracle whenever a SQL statement is executed. They are not explicitly declared in the code and are managed by the system. Explicit cursors. These cursors are declared in the code and are explicitly opened, fetched, and closed by the developer. Explicit cursors give developers more control over the result set and the operations performed on it. There are also two types of explicit cursors in Oracle: static cursors. These cursors are used for executing a single SQL statement and returning a static result set. Once the cursor is opened, it remains open until it is explicitly closed or the session is terminated. Dynamic cursors. These cursors are used for executing dynamic SQL statements whose structure and parameters are not known until runtime. Dynamic cursors can be opened, closed, and reused multiple times during a session. In this code block, a cursor named c_emps is declared to select the first name and last name from the employees table. Two variables, v_first_name and v_last_name, are also declared to store the results of the cursor query. The fetch statement is then used to retrieve the first record from the cursor results set and assign the values to v_first_name and v_last_name. The dbms_output.put_line statement is used again to display the values of these variables, which will now show the first name and last name of the first employee returned by the cursor query. Finally, the close statement is used to close the cursor and release system resources. Type the code in your SQL Developer UI or UI of your choice. In my case, have used SQL Developer. Then press the green arrow button to see the results. This code opens a cursor named c_emps to select the first name and last name from the employees table. Two variables v_first_name and v_last_name are declared to store the retrieved results. The first record from the cursor is fetched using the fetch statement and the values are assigned to v_first_name and v_last_name. The retrieved values are then printed using the dbms_output.put_line statement. Next, the second record is fetched using fetch and the values are assigned to v_first_name and v_last_name. The retrieved values are printed again using the dbms_output.put_line statement. Finally, the cursor is closed using the close statement. The code demonstrates how to use cursors in Oracle to retrieve and display multiple rows of data from a table. Type the code in your SQL Developer UI or UI of your choice. In my case, have used SQL Developer. Then press the green arrow button to see the results. This code declares a cursor c_emps that selects the first _name and last _name columns from the employees table. It then declares a variable v_emp of the same type as the cursor's row. The code then opens the cursor, fetches the first record into the v_emp variable, displays the first name and last name using the dbms_output.put_line procedure, and then closes the cursor. Using cursors in a loop. This code declares a cursor that selects all employees whose employee_ID is less than 200. It then declares a variable v_emps of cursor row type c_emps% row type to hold the fetched row. The cursor is opened, and the code loops through the cursor and fetches each row into the variable. If there are no more rows to fetch, the loop is forced to exit because of the following statement: exit when c_emps% not found. For each row, the employee ID, first name, and last name are printed to the console using the dbms_output.put_line function. Finally, the cursor is closed. Type the code in your SQL Developer UI or UI of your choice. In my case, have used SQL Developer. Then press the green arrow button to see the results. Using cursors in while loop. The code declares a cursor that selects all rows from the employees table where the employee_ID is less than 120. The cursor is then opened and a fetch statement retrieves the first row and assigns its values to the v_emps variable of the cursor's record type. The while loop is executed as long as the cursor's %found attribute is true, which means that a row has been successfully fetched. Inside the loop, the values of the employee underscore ID, first underscore name, and last underscore name fields are printed using dbms underscore output dot put underscore line. Another fetch statement retrieves the next row and assigns its values to the v underscore emps variable. The loop continues until there are no more rows to fetch. The cursor is then closed. Type the code in your SQL Developer UI or UI of your choice. In my case, have used SQL Developer. Then press the green arrow button to see the results. Using cursors in a for loop. The code selects all columns from the employees table where the employee underscore ID is less than 120 using a cursor, and then loops through each row returned by the cursor and prints the employee underscore ID, first underscore name, and last underscore name of each row to the console using the dbms underscore output package. Type the code in your SQL Developer UI or UI of your choice. In my case, have used SQL Developer. Then press the green arrow button to see the results. Cursors with parameters, also known as parameterized cursors, are cursors that accept input parameters at the time of declaration or execution. These parameters allow you to dynamically control the behavior of the cursor and retrieve specific data based on the provided values. When declaring a cursor with parameters, you define placeholders for the input values using variables or parameters. These placeholders are then used in the cursor SQL statement to filter or modify the result set. In this example, the cursor C underscore emps is declared with a parameter P underscore department underscore ID, which is used to filter the employees based on the provided department underscore ID value. The cursor is opened by passing the V underscore department underscore ID variable as the parameter value. This allows you to control which department's employees are retrieved by changing the value of v underscore department underscore ID. By using parameterized cursors, you can make your queries more flexible and reusable, as you can pass different parameter values to retrieve different subsets of data based on your needs. Type the code in your SQL Developer UI or UI of your choice. In my case, have used SQL Developer. Then press the green arrow button to see the results. Cursor attributes in Oracle are predefined attributes that provide information about the state and characteristics of a cursor. They allow you to programmatically retrieve details about the cursor's behavior, such as whether it is open, the number of rows fetched, or if there are more rows available. Here are some commonly used cursor attributes. %found. This attribute returns true if the last fetch from the cursor successfully returned a row. It is typically used in a loop to process rows until there are no more rows available. %not found. This attribute returns true if the last fetch from the cursor did not return a row. It is often used in combination with %found to control loop termination. %row count. This attribute returns the number of rows fetched so far from the cursor. It is useful for tracking the progress of a fetch loop or determining the total number of rows fetched. %isopen. This attribute returns true if the cursor is currently open and false otherwise. It helps check the open status of a cursor before attempting operations on it. By accessing and utilizing these cursor attributes, you can effectively control the flow and behavior of your cursor-based operations, handle exceptions, and obtain valuable information about the cursor's state and fetched rows. This code fetches rows from the employees table based on department underscore ID 90, displays the employee details, and the total number of rows fetched using the %row count attribute. Type the code in your SQL Developer UI or UI of your choice. In my case, have used SQL Developer. Then press the green arrow button to see the results. A reference cursor, also known as a cursor variable, is a cursor that is not associated with a specific query at compile time. Instead, it is associated with a query dynamically at runtime. Reference cursors provide flexibility in working with queries whose structure or content is not known in advance. In this example, a reference cursor v underscore cursor of type ref cursor is declared. It is not associated with a specific query at compile time. At runtime, the reference cursor is opened with a dynamic query using the open statement. The query in this example selects rows from the employees table based on a specific department_ID, which is parameterized using the using clause. Within the loop, rows are fetched from the reference cursor using the fetch statement. The loop continues until there are no more rows to fetch, v_cursor %not_found condition. You can perform any necessary processing on the fetched rows inside the loop. Finally, the reference cursor is closed using the close statement to release associated resources. Reference cursors are particularly useful when you need to handle queries with dynamic conditions or when the query structure is determined at runtime. They allow you to execute queries and retrieve result sets dynamically, providing greater flexibility in working with different data sets. Type the code in your SQL Developer UI or UI of your choice. In my case, have used SQL Developer. Then press the green arrow button to see the results.